Hi, I'm Laura Brodniak with the Lonas Group, and today I'm joined by Denise Lonas to talk about the closing process. And here's Denise. Denise, I think that the pending to closing process could often be named the phantom agent part of the transaction. Yeah. I know that this is the part where lots of agents fall down. Share with us some ideas that you have for making this a memorable and successful part of the transaction.
Well, the pending to closing process to me is probably the most important time period for an agent to actually get referrals. A lot of agents think that you get referrals after the transaction is done, but during the pending to closing process, and basically that is from the moment an offer, purchase, and sale is signed around up until the closing happens, what happens is the seller or the buyer talks about the events in their life. We're getting ready to move, okay, we're closing in 2 weeks, and there's so much more conversation between the clients and their friends and family during that period, and agents tend to disappear. They tend to almost relax and go, okay, I now have the contract signed, things are good, and a lot of them expect that the closing company is going to handle everything for them. And while that is their job to do it, it is still the agent's responsibility to keep in touch with the client.
And one of the methods that you propose to do that with is an actual calendar. What does that look like?
Well, what we do is we recommend that agents, the moment that the offer, purchase, and sale is signed around, what we get them to do is we get them to take all of the important dates off of that contract, because clients don't, they read the contract, but it's not their responsibility to sit down and make a chart of when every important event needs to happen. So we take a calendar and we literally sign on that calendar when the closing is. Maybe there's an inspection that needs to occur. Maybe there's a financing contingency. Every important date goes in the calendar. Then what we do is we color code that calendar in two colors, red and black. Black is for the agent. That means the agent takes care of that. Anything in red is a notification to the seller that or the buyer that they need to be aware of that. So it might say the closing is June 30th. If the closing is June 30th, the whole week prior to June 30th, it might say, this is the probable week you're going to sign documents. So what it does is it alerts the client as to when and what they need to be concerned about and what's coming up. It's a great tool. Clients absolutely love it.
I would think it probably saves hours of time for the agent too to have that all compact in one spot. I know that one of the things that comes up in conjunction with pending to close also is, how do we communicate with our clients? Should it be just during email during that period of time?
Absolutely not. I think the worst thing an agent can do is to just send these email updates. I think it's really important that you have voice-to-voice communication and that connection with your client. Also, if they've just spoken to someone that's going to buy or sell, it's a great opportunity for them to say, oh, well, I've got you on the phone. My friend Mary was thinking about buying, but she's buying in this neighborhood. Do you work in that neighborhood? And it's just a great opportunity. I think these automatic email updates are fine for updating, but I think that they're a disaster for true communication and building that really strong relationship.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Denise, I know you have really strong feelings about agents attending closings. Share those with us.
Well, a lot of agents, brokers, and attorneys for their companies are definitely saying to agents, do not attend closings, and I'm sure they have their reasons. And some people will say liability, but I don't really understand that, and I most certainly don't agree with it, and let me tell you why. Here you have an agent that has helped that buyer or seller through the transaction, and now the culmination of all the events of that transaction are about to close. I absolutely feel very strongly that not only is it the agent's responsibility to be there, but I know from sellers and buyers firsthand that they appreciate that agent being there. Now, I'm not saying that the agent is supposed to go there and take over what the escrow or closing officer is talking about or presenting. They're there to just be a support person. Perhaps there is a question that arises. Maybe the agent can help to answer that. But to say, we don't want you to go because there's a liability issue here, that just does not sit well with me. Because if we are going to represent a client and we're going to put pen to paper and say, we agree with everything on this contract, then we need to be there at closing. Because what happens if it closes and then that problem arises after? This is team real estate. You got to be there and be part of the team and make sure that you're there to help in case something happens.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think it's an emotional thing for our buyers and sellers. As you mentioned, they want the comfort of having you there. You've helped them through the process. You need to be there at the end.
And the other thing is, imagine now you've just bought or sold a house and now it's your closing day. I can't imagine a more appropriate person to be at that moment with you to say, hey, congratulations, and also thank you for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for your thoughts on that, Denise.
Thank you, Laura.